This one's important.
Your first cut will disappoint.
Oh, it will be one of those moments that you think you got jacked, and then you see what's left at the end, and you're like, no. Do you know what I found as well? My first cut followed my first bulk, and my first bulk was horrific. It was filthy, right? Okay. So as much as I gained probably 15, 20 kilos in the period of a year or whatever it was, ridiculous. Yeah. I put on a lot of fat. And I think that
You remembered to train in that year?
I did train, just a little bit, yeah. Did a few curls, a few curls and press-ups, 100 a night. No, that was when I got serious with training. So I got serious with training, and I did put on a lot of size, did put on a lot of muscle. It was that time where people were like, I'd gone from skinny kid to I'd just put on a lot of size. And a layer of fat sometimes does give that big man you know what I mean? You get that the Michelin man look. But yeah, my first cut was horrific. I remember not having a clue what I was doing. So went in, I was doing fasted HIIT, and I probably lost as much muscle as I put on, and it felt like I went back to zero. So yeah, my first cut was a massive disappointment. But I think something I teach people now is most people's is, because we all have these kind of disillusions that we're gonna bulk once for 4 months or something outrageously short, cut, and then that's it. It's just gonna look like a flipping bodybuilder, and there is some serious disappointment coming for those people.
I mean, I didn't even realise that bulking and cutting was a thing for a while. Like I thought I just thought I'd lift weights, and at some point I'm gonna see that I look like a competitive bodybuilder.
Was that even more disappointment?
Yeah, it was just like, well, this shit does not work. Like nothing is happening. And then got into the whole eating more and putting on weight, and then did a first real cut, and then again, like, it was just like, wow, nothing. Like, how much of this do I have to do to get what I want?
And the answer's lots, right?
Loads, like way more.
And pushing more boundaries than you thought. My second bulk went on for twice as long as my first, and believe it or not, even in the last 5 years, the COVID year, 2020, I didn't get lean that summer.
Yeah.
I went 24 months in a surplus.
Yeah.
That's commitment.
Yeah.
Because I just went, this is an opportunity now I sometimes look at the cut as wasted time. And it's something that I preach about a lot. When I talk about
100%.
I talk about fat loss phases, and I talk about getting them done quick. But the reason I talk about getting them done quick is because, maybe not if you're in your absolute kind of infancy of training, but if you've got any experience under your belt, if you're a couple of years deep, you ain't making gains in a deficit. None, nil. Yeah. So you drag that out for 6 months, 8 months in a fat loss phase. It's just wasted time. And if you then look at what is physically possible to gain in a year in a surplus with things on point, you're talking about a fractional amount of muscle in that period. In a year could be a couple of kilo at most. I would if I did that now, if I did a couple of kilo in a year, I would be over the moon.
Huge.
So imagine going 9-10 months in a massive surplus to gain a couple of kilos of muscle, to spend 8 weeks getting it off, right? And that's why it's disappointing. It just takes constant repetitive cycles of doing that and nailing it and getting better at it.
Yeah, that's it. It's just year on year. Like, is it like you? Like, I think I lived in a deficit for about 3-4 years.
Yeah, probably so.
Like, thinking that if I just train, I'm just going to get more ripped, and eventually we're going to see all this separation. That just never came. And then when I committed to a first real bulk, I think it was like a year, and then did a little cut, you could see some difference. Then after that, I committed to a 2-year bulk, pretty much, with a little mini cut in between. But then that's where you realise, okay, this is how it's done. And then you embrace that bulking and cutting cycle. And then with that, you realise that each time you cut, you get to cut down on a bit more food. You're not as hungry. Yeah. You get better at it.
Correct.
Right, and
experience, dealing with hunger, all those things, and which means, because again, I've had this where people say to me, they go, so can you cut on higher calories than you used to? And I went, technically yes, but I often don't. I'll often go in more aggressive on the diet, because it's just that exact thing. It's just getting it done quicker. It's getting it out of the way so you can spend more time growing.
We just finished, didn't we? We just finished like a cut, and I mean, for me to be cutting, you know, the weight that I did on 300 grams of carbs, like, it's unbelievable. Like, for me, that's nice and high, because I've done some stupidness in the past where I'm down
calories
to like 30 grams of carbs. Do you know what I mean? Like, want to shoot yourself in the face. But
it's bad.
Now it's just like, bring it on. Like, this is easy.
But the only way you're going to earn that is by going through those repetitive cycles.
That's it.